Hi, this video demonstration is meant to help you get started with the features of Lumio. The first thing I'm going to do is go to the waffle, scroll down, and the Lumio lightning bug is right there. It's going to open up the Lumio platform. You will be prompted to sign in with your Google CHCLC accounts, and then it will shortly take you to your teacher dashboard. As this is opening, I also want to mention that you have a Lumio folder in your drive. And if you have any activities that you would like to convert to Lumio, you can do that directly from your drive as well. From here, you can see I have a library full of activities that I've started or initiated with my students, and this is my unique class ID. We don't sync Google Classroom with Lumio. Instead, there are a couple ways that you can share the lessons that you start with your students, and this class ID is part of that. The most important feature here is the repurposing of activities and lessons that you already have. So I'm going to go ahead and add activities. Here you can import PDFs, notebook files, PowerPoints, Google Slides, and more. You also can add YouTube content, find lessons from Lumio, or start with some templates or ready-made sources. One of the activities for the first week is going to ask you to choose a shouted out response or game-based activity to create for your students. So I'm going to go ahead and import a source. I have both a PowerPoint and a PDF that I have saved to my drive. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. Here's a PowerPoint that I would like to add to Lumio. So it is importing all of the pages depending on the length, and this one is a little bit lengthy. It might take a couple minutes or it can just take a matter of seconds. Once it comes up, you will have the opportunity to decide if you want to keep all of the pages from the slides or just some of them. As you can see, it has imported all of the slides from the PowerPoint, but I don't want all of them. So I'm going to take out a couple slides that I don't want to keep. And I'm going to click Add. So now it's only adding those slides from that PowerPoint that I wanted to keep for this particular lesson. Now we are in the editor. From here, there are a couple tools that you can use to customize each slide. You have a text tool, an image tool, which also will let you search for links or add links. You also can make each individual slide an individual handout activity where each student will work on his or her own page, or a collaborative workspace activity where students collaborate together. You can also add audio directions. This is a really great feature for scaffolding instruction and providing directions for lessons that are meant to be asynchronous in nature. So for now, these are slides that I just want to use for demonstration purposes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm on my last page and I want students to do an activity. So I'm going to grab this plus icon, and now I'm going to import a PDF from my drive that is meant to be an activity for students. So I'm going to import from my drive. This is a handout activity that used to be just pen and paper. Here we go. It's a PDF. I'm going to select it, and now it's going to be adding 2 pages of a worksheet to the Lumio lesson that I have started already. So as you can see, now we have these 2 lesson pages that were just static PDFs that I am going to have students work on. So I'm going to click on the individual handout option, and when students get to this slide, they will have the opportunity to use text, to use images, or to freehand with the pen tool. Moving forward, I also found a game that I wanted to add to this lesson, and I added it from Lumio to my Lumio library. So now I'm going to hit the plus sign again, and I'm going to search my library. And here is a game I found on figurative language. It is a sorting activity with similes and metaphors. I'm going to select that game, and when students get to the end of this lesson, they will have the opportunity to play the sorting game, where they will find examples of similes and metaphors and drag them to the appropriate locations. So as you can see here, I started off with a PowerPoint presentation where I added only the slides that I wanted to keep. I added an interactive handout activity for students to complete an assignment within Lumio independently, and then I ended with a game. Now, there may be times where you just want to have one document and customize it, but I wanted to show you how you can completely customize a Lumio lesson by importing a variety of files as well as activities in Lumio. If you want to do a formative assessment at the end, which is one of my favorite features of Lumio, that's where the response tool comes in. This is a template where you can create a formative assessment for your students, providing multiple choice, true, false, multiple answer, poll, and short answer questions, as many as you'd like. What's great about this is that the responses that the students make get exported into an Excel spreadsheet. So if you're collecting data on student achievement, you can use these features to do that at the end or at any point of the lesson. Discard. One caveat here is when you add individual handouts, so let me go up to this individual handout. As you can see, students are going to be working on this and they will have the pen tool and all these features. As the teacher, when you start this lesson, you will be able to move from student to student in the live lesson and provide feedback and see how they are working on the lesson in real time. The caveat here is once you end the lesson, that work goes away. I'm hopeful that that will be something that Lumio updates, but just keep that in mind. And there's no limit as to how long you can keep a lesson open. So if you need to keep it open for a week or 2 weeks to provide student feedback, that's totally fine. But I just wanted to make sure you knew that adding that response, performative assessment, that is the part that will capture data and export it into a spreadsheet for you. So let's assume that I finished editing this assignment. Now it's time to give the assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. If you were going to share the assignment with someone, you could share the link with another teacher, or you could make a copy and you could edit it at any point. Now we've started it. This is something you would likely pull up on your smartboard or have it up on your flat panel. Let me go through the features you see here. If you click on the 3 lines, this is where you would end the lesson. This is also where you can share the lesson with your students. Here you can copy and share it with a teacher. If you want your students to access this lesson and work at their own pace, this is the link that I would recommend using, and you could post it directly to your Google Classroom. The people icon is where you're going to see the students who have joined your lesson, and this is where you will click to track their progress as they move through the lesson. So you will see here you have the option to make it teacher paced or student paced. And if you're doing this teacher paced in class, you might want to just click on this little up arrow and share this with students. Several teachers have told me that since their class ID never changes, they have saved this information to a material on their Google Classroom. Once you have students, you will be able to see all the student icons over here, and you'll be able to click on each student and check on his or her work and provide feedback. Okay. The pen tool will help you move things around. Right here, you have the erase, and you also have a text tool. Students also have the same features whenever they get to an interactive handout. You can scroll through the activity using the up and down arrows. Again, you can write on this as you'd like. Now let's say when we got to this part, students needed some more help, or we wanted to brainstorm an idea. At any point during a live lesson, you can add a page. So if I wanted to add a whiteboard, I could add a whiteboard, I could add a shouted out activity, and I can do this right on the fly, right in the middle of a lesson. Here I've gotten to a handout. This is where I can track student progress, right? All students will appear here once they've connected and start the activity. Again, you can go back and give feedback to students at any point when the lesson is open. Okay, and here's where we have our game. So again, you have the opportunity to make this teacher paced, where students have to only move as you move each slide, or student paced. You have a couple ways to share the class ID, either through this hellosmart.com and the class code, or going to share and copying, pasting the link for students. When I'm done the lesson, I'm going to end the lesson, and now it's finished. Some other features that you can look through are the resources in Lumio's library. These are the featured activities for the month of October. They will be updated shortly with some thematic lessons for November. You can see we have a variety of collections, and then by content area or skill that you can use, and you can also search more specifically up here. So that is a short tutorial just to help get you started with Lumio. As we move forward, if you have some questions or specific things you would like me to demonstrate, just let me know. Have fun as you get started.